when did you actually start taking, let's say, your personal finances seriously, like make it conscious the way you see money and use money and all that? Was there like a particular point in your life when that happened? And the second part of that question is, do you think like the message, or at least the teaching for people, especially younger people like ourselves, like of consciously living, you could say almost in general, but also related to money in that way, is being taught enough, and maybe why or why not?
Who do you want to answer first?
You first.
Okay, so the second part of that question, no, I don't think financial literacy is being taught enough, generally speaking. And some conspiracy theorists might say that that's by design. I'm not sure if I necessarily believe that or not. But I do think, especially with the way a lot of our systems are set up, I also think that there are people who have even less access than average to gaining enough financial literacy to get themselves out of the hole that they were just handed at birth. You know, there's poverty in this country. And I think if you're in one of those situations, it's even harder to have the time and space or even have the right connections to gain that financial literacy. I do think nowadays, though, with the advent of the internet, it is a little bit easier. You just have to sort of sift through what's real and what's not, which can be a bit tricky. I wish financial literacy, at least even how to like organize and pay your taxes, was taught in school in some way. And I don't know that it ever will be, but no, I don't think it's taught enough. I think most people in my life that I know don't have as much financial literacy as I would hope they would for like friends and family, but it's also kind of taboo to talk about, which is unfortunate. And then what was that first part of your question?
First question is like, when did the importance of the way you see money and how you spend it, save for it, invest it, all that, like when did that become a pinnacle in your life and have that sort of importance of the way you're using it now?
I think that depends how you define importance, because I think right around 2008 and some of the things that I observed in my house, I was in 8th grade at that point. Some of the things that I observed happening to my family after that, and then them never really being able to come back from some of the mistakes that they made, and also just some of the happenstances that happened to them that were entirely out of their control. I think 2008 is where that kind of first got injected into my mind. But then I think when I was working in real estate, I was working with a lot of people who had a lot of money, and I would try to absorb some of the things they did and some of the things they said and some of the things they thought. Because, you know, if you're rich enough to pay all cash for a $2 million house, you're probably doing something right.
100%.
And before personal trainer, before real estate, I was a personal trainer, and the rates for the training that were at this facility were also exorbitantly expensive. So I would talk to people about their job and, you know, what they did and how they did it. And I would just sort of like absorb information. When I started actually implementing the stuff that I knew, I was probably, my first job, I got set up with an IRA. So you could count that at like 17. But I think when I actually started to care and like make moves with my money was right around 21, after having seen my parents and then also absorbed everything I could from rich people. I was ready to put it into action.
What is it that is driving your purpose and your future destination coming up in these, you know, next decade? Go ahead, Jennifer.
So my goal overall is to be kind of where Joe is, you know, a little bit beyond comfortable just with like the basic expenses, and have that diverse income stream to be able to retire early and kind of have my life path be more meaningful. You know, I've chosen work right now where it's hopefully already meaningful to people, but I do think that that's like a big part of the human experience, is to work to live rather than live to work. So I would hope for my future to be at a point of comfort where I can make all my payments, but also beyond comfort, you know, maybe with 4 years of cushion, to where I'm not so anxious about always making the right moves. I'm more liberal is not the right word. I'm just more comfortable, I think, generally speaking. And then as far as, I didn't even get to talk about minimalism or like frugality or intentional living.
We'll do it in the part 2, Jennifer. We ran out of time, but I wanted to say that
no
for the
worries.
next one. Yeah.
No worries. But basically, the way I spend money now is also, I think, kind of unique due to my more minimalist lifestyle. I'm just kind of more intentional and cognizant, which allows me to have more money to then be riskier with in like the stock market or whatever. But yeah, I would hope my future looks similar to Joe's. Maybe not 4 kids for me. But yeah, that's, I guess, where I hope I'm headed. For my parents, purchasing property, which is like, you know, a really safe investment in the US, was far less stacked against them than it is for like millennials kind of as a whole in this country, especially now that you see these big corporations buying up all of the inventory to turn it into rentals. So I think, especially if you're young, you really need to like get on it and get that money literacy and diversify, because you don't have anything economically helping you out very much.
Jennifer sounds quite astute. Wouldn't you concur there, Joe?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, some people look at how much I have saved in emergency fund, and you know, my short answer to that is that's because I can.
Yeah.
You know, I am 58, by the way, but been retired 3.5 years. Having that much in emergency fund allows me to be more aggressive in my investments.